Hello everyone, it is LaughNgamez here, and today I'm here with my first official Starcraft 2 cast. Well, really there's nothing official about this, it is simply me casting a Starcraft 2 match between two Western players, I guess. It is a Terran versus Zerg match, which is between Ruff and Odinisback. Ruff being a Terran player in the red, while up in the top right, Odinisback is the Zerg player. So basically what we have here is a Terran versus Zerg on one of the larger maps in my first StarCraft 2 cast. So it could go for a while because it would usually set up to be more of a longer game. Anyway, so this is, as I said before, this is my first StarCraft 2 cast. It might be a little bumpy, it might be a little rough. For example, I didn't have the production tab up at the start of the game, but that's irrelevant now because it's up. And I'll try to improve in any way possible. Feedback is completely welcome. But then again, I hope you guys enjoy regardless. So what we've got here was a gas first coming out of Ruff. And Odinisback has actually sent over one of his workers, a drone, to scout what is going on in Ruff space. Meanwhile, Odinisback, the Zerg player, is expanding back at home, playing more macro, it seems, and scouting to see what Ruff is going on. Ruff is the Terran player and is more known to be an aggressive player and is actually on the team Psystorm, which is a fairly impressive StarCraft 2 team with some great players on it. Meanwhile, Odinisback is on a South American team, which is more of a community team from what we've seen. None of their players really have had any big results or anything. But regardless, it should be a good match today, as Terran versus Zerg usually is a great matchup. Aliens versus humans, by all means. Just a bit of a side note for this cast, it is sort of geared towards newer StarCraft 2 players by all means, but I'll still be speaking in terms that really anyone can enjoy. But it won't be like super catering to new players. But if you are new to StarCraft, just try to catch up, and I'm sure you'll learn a thing or two and maybe understand what's going on. Anyway, so Odinisback actually stole the gas from Ruff, meaning that Ruff cannot mine it until he kills off Odinisback's extractor. So that's actually denying gas to Ruff for a while, which is sort of good because he saw that Ruff was going for a gas first, which could have possibly meant that he would have wanted a second gas. So this game is looking to be more of a one player's playing defensive, which is Odinisback, versus a more aggressive player. Odinisback is actually gearing up to take a third base, while Ruff is actually just getting up his natural base, which is completely normal for Terran versus Zerg. But what is not normal for Terran versus Zerg is actually how Odinisback got some very quick overlords early on to see exactly what Ruff is up to. He knows exactly what is going to be coming. He saw that Ruff built a second factory, so he could assume that this could be a very turtley style, or it could be an aggressive style coming out of Ruff using two factories. And Ruff is actually throwing on a tech lab, so he's likely going to be making some tanks, Hellions, and Marines coming out all at the same time. So likely going to be a big push coming out of Ruff. We'll see how much damage it does, but pardon me being new to StarCraft observing, Ruff actually went with the 2 Hellions he made at the start of game to get some kills, and he actually killed off 7 workers, which is really good. And now actually has a slight lead in workers, which is not necessarily normal for this part of the game. So Ruff just managed to buy himself quite a huge lead there. 7 workers by the 4-minute mark of the game is actually quite huge for Ruff. And but these overlords are still scouting everything Ruff is doing. And what Ruff is doing is producing tanks, Hellions, and Marines still. Sooner or later, Ruff will probably throw up an armory at some point that'll come up on the production tab, which will confirm he's going for a Hellbat tank Marine attack. Meanwhile, Odinisback is actually getting back to the macro after losing those 7 workers, 7 drones, to those Hellions. So he's trying to recover. He's not making a lot of units and is actually going for a lair. That's the one. Sorry, I don't actually play Zerg, but I knew it. Just not used to saying it out loud. Anyway, so Odinisback is going for roaches and is likely going to be going for roach speed with Ravagers. Mainly for defense, I assume. It's quite a large map to be going for a big push out on, considering how we saw Ruff as 2 factories, so siege tanks will likely be a factor. Anyway, Ruff is now pushing out, so Odinisback is gonna have to be defensive, and he's completely seen... Oh, forgive me there. He's completely seen what Ruff is doing. He's seen this huge army come out by. So now he knows the attack is incoming. He's making as many units as he can, is morphing in Ravagers, an upgrade from the Roach, which will allow them to rain down corrosive bile. But the question is, will he still have enough? He's got 11 Roaches and 2 Ravagers, a few Queens versus 3 Siege Tanks. 3 Siege Tanks, if they manage to get sieged in a good position, will do lots of damage. Ruff actually bringing some SCVs to repair this attack, turning these Transformer Hellions into Hellbats to help push up. But, oh, here come down some corrosive files, actually hitting a Siege Tank, which is doing some huge damage. But fortunately, the SCVs are here to repair it. The Hellbats are going completely to town, but are being absolutely shredded by all these Roaches and Ravagers. The Siege Tanks siege, but are getting picked off, so the tank killing off quite a few units. But ultimately, it is held by Odinisback, and he is on 3 bases, so he'll be able to produce many, many drones now. 9 drones on the production tab. Meanwhile, Ruff is taking it a completely different route and is switching into mini air units. He's throwing down 3 starports, which are going to be very, very harass focused, it seems. Meanwhile, Ruff is still only on 2 bases, which is going to put him quite behind getting his extra gases, because he'll need lots of gas to produce whatever he's making in starports. Excuse me. It would seem that Odinisback is still just macroing up, getting up evolution chambers for his upgrades. Still making drones, because he knows Ruff already did his big attack, so nothing else really will be coming yet. But he does have the speed overlord, so I'd like him to send in an overlord to see these starports, so he'd know to defend from all these air units. But he fortunately is doing this regardless. Has he actually seen all these starports? No, he hasn't. He's just taking a lucky yes and is throwing down quite a few spore crawlers to defend. I guess he knows it's Ruff. Ruff is known to be a more aggressive, air-based player. Really to be defensive against him is a good idea. So we're seeing how this is going. Spores are up to defend spore crawlers, which are air turrets by all means. And these Hellions are actually going out for harassment while Odinisback is creeping up Ruff's 3rd base, which Ruff is nowhere near taking by the seam of things. He's just throwing down his 3rd command center, which will then probably float over. Ruff actually might get some attack upgrades, getting cloak for these Banshees, so he's going to be getting quite a few Banshees and they'll be coming in and doing some work. Meanwhile, these Hellions actually pick off a Ravager, but he loses quite a few Hellions. And if you actually see, Ruff is down to 42 workers versus 87 drones, so that's reflected in the mining heavily here. So Odinisback is actually getting up his 4th base. He's got that up, so he'll probably be making some drones to mine off it adequately, throwing down a macro hatchery. So Odinisback is really gearing up for a macro game here. Meanwhile, Ruff is trying to do some damage, but Odinisback did not expand here, which is quite common for Zergs to take their 4th base here, but Odinisback chose to take it here on this map. I'm not actually sure if I told the map. I believe it is Dusk Towers, if I believe off the top of my head. Sorry about that. I had it remembered, but then I completely forgot it when I started talking. Otherwise, that is the map. Dusk Towers, 99% positive. So we'll see. +1/+1, which was actually Zergling Gilly attack and Zergling Carapace, which means Odinisback is likely going to be going into Ultralisk. He's got his infestation pit. He's got his hive almost done, so he'll most likely be throwing down an Ultralisk cavern, which is not good at all versus what Ruff is making. But really doesn't matter. Actually, Odinisback is coming in for a big attack to try to counterattack Ruff while these Banshees can move into harass. Killing these spore crawlers, killing these hydralisks because there's not enough anti-air. Ruff holds off the attack at home with simply just 1 burning supply depot in his wall. So now Ruff should be able to move in, take his third base, while doing some good harassment with these Banshees. Odinisback does not have that much anti-air. Ruff might actually pick up his Hydralisk then, which is huge, because that makes Hydras, which are the best source of anti-air, available to Odinisback right now. The Hydralisk then going down before its upgrade finishes. So these Hydras will still be slow because they never got that muscular augment. But these Banshees, unfortunately flying over these Hydras, gonna lose most of them, it seems like, which is not good for Ruff at all. He was doing so well until that happened with a good army. So now there's another Hydralisk Den coming up for Odinisback while and now if we actually look here, he is mining out his main base. His natural is gonna mine out soonish, and his third base is doing decent. Unfortunately but he did lose his fourth base during all that, so that is not going well for him. So really it's 3 base versus 2, which is not terrible for Ruff. Ruff is gonna be getting up his third base as he floats this command center over. So it's gonna be 3 base versus 3 base, which is not terrible at all for Ruff. He's put himself into a good position here. And it's actually really important he takes that third base and the gases immediately, building refineries on these, in order to get more gas, because he's floating a lot of minerals compared to gas. He's actually got some Banshees floating out here, which managed to move out of the way before they get corrosive biled by these Ravagers. Okay, so it appears that Odinisback is still set on just macroing out as getting good units up. He'll be getting some Ultralisk out. He's got chitinous plating on the way, which gives +4 armor to the large melee units. But really that doesn't help too much versus units like the Banshee by all means, because the Banshee is an air unit, so they'll still, like, the Ultralisk cannot attack these air units. Ruff is actually turning his third base into a planetary fortress for that extra step of defense, while Odinisback is getting up his fourth base. Ruff throwing down his fourth command center. So really they're on quite equal economic footing. I might even give Ruff a slight lead, even though he's behind in workers, simply because of how this game's been going on. Actually, off the top of my head, let's see the units lost. I can't remember the hotkey for that. L is the units lost hotkey. So if we see, Ruff has killed about 1,000 more resources, 1.5k more resources worth of stuff than he has lost, meaning he's really killed more. So Odinisback needs to be mining more to make up for his extra losses, because Ruff is playing this sort of cost-effective style by all means, and he's actually sending out a lot of Hellions, so these could get some huge damage done. Maybe cancel the 5th base that is now building, but they are intercepted by Hydras and Ravagers. These Hellions are too brittle to fight against these units in a dead-on fight, and Odinisback might actually move in. Nope, these Widow Mines are going to completely kill three Ravagers, 1 per mine shot, and Ruff might actually pick off a 4th with these Hellions, but it gets back to safety with the rest of the Ravagers. Now Ruff's factory is floating over for potential scouting, while all these air units move over to the top left to deal some damage to this base that only has 1 Spore Crawler defending it. These Liberators are going to siege up to lock down that position. Odinisback is going to engage in, but I don't think that's a good idea. He's going to have to corrosive file these Liberators, but they're doing so much damage, destroying all these Hydralisks, so there's no good anti-air left to take care of these free-moving Banshees. So Ruff might actually pick off this base, but these Vipers finish just in time. Will they throw down parasitic bombs that they've just got enough energy for on these Banshees? But no, he's not. They're pulling back for whatever reason. So he's going to lose this 4th base and has an Ultralisk popped out, but that won't do much good. And Ruff is going to continue on his harassment train. Meanwhile, all of these Ultralisks are moving in to fight these Hellbats, which are going to try to defend them. Ultralisks are so good versus Hellbats. But they can't really push up here because of these Liberators that Ruff just sieged up, so instead he's going to settle for taking out the 4th base, which is a huge hit to Ruff's economy. As we can see now, it's actually down to about 50 workers to 54, but Ruff loses a bunch more, but they're still fairly equal on economy because Odinisback is not mining that much, even though he's got these 2 bases up, but they're very vulnerable and could be picked off later, I mean. And just a few Hydras being rallied out to kill off these Banshees, which is simply not enough. There's enough Banshees here to pick off spore crawlers. He's going to pick off yet another base. Ruff has killed the 4th base, I believe, twice, and now just killed the natural expansion. Oh, but these Banshees fly into a spore crawler, and they might have been hit with a parasitic bomb there. Either way, quite a few were lost, as we can see. I still have that up. Let's switch back to the protection tab. Okay. These Banshees are flying back very injured. Hellion's moving across to do a run by to get some damage done, but oh no, they are running straight into the mouth of these Ultras. Only one of them squeaks by and is actually going to make a mad dash to try and kill as many workers as he can. Probably not going to get many because these Ultras are right on his heel. So that Hellion is going to get cleaned up. He's making a run for it, and he's going down to the 6th base, which Ruff has now scouted with a factory on that Hellion. So Ruff knows the situation he's in, so he really needs to get up a 4th base to see what's going on. Well, to recover in the economy game, pardon me. Meanwhile, Odinisback is mining long distance because he lost his natural base. These buildings are off creep, so they're actually slowly dying. I believe the hatchery will finish in time to save this building, but it's actually dying quite quickly, so it might die because Zerg buildings need to be on creep in order to survive. So it's actually going to be very, very close, but I believe that infestation pit will survive. It's really that this spawning pool and Rochewarn that are going to die while off creep. Odinisback is not in the best economic situation. Meanwhile, these Banshees are wrecking havoc, not hit by a single parasitic bomb, it seems, right there, which were actually used on the Liberators, because those did seemingly go down. Pardon my poor observing skills. We're trying to get better here. These Banshees are going to move down to pick off yet another base after destroying the 5th base, which was the main part of the economy of Odinisback. So Odinisback has just been set to the Stone Age in terms of economy. He's down to the really 3 bases, but his 4th just finishing now. But if we check out the income, Ruff's in the lead because of how many workers have been lost for Odinisback. These Ultralisk and Hydras moved off and actually picked off another 4th base for Ruff, but fortunately Ruff is floating over with another command center. So there's now actually 4 bases for Ruff, but Odinisback actually sees this and could go try to kill it off. Really, Ruff needs to float over his command center so he can continue mining, continue getting these upgrades. He's actually getting vehicle attack upgrades while he's got ship upgrades, so his Banshees are actually doing a good amount of damage. And there's nothing defending this natural base again, not a single spore crawler. These Banshees are just going to go to town and kill so many more workers, setting Odinisback down to 20 workers, or maybe even less. Possibly going to kill off another hatchery, likely this easy to pick infestation, but maybe the Ultralisk cabin, which is so much of Odinisback's critical tech gone. He's actually just rebuilding his lair. After losing so much tech, he has almost no sources of anti-air. Meanwhile, Ruff is producing all these Banshees, and Odinisback is just getting up another spawning pool, which is probably going to be picked off by these Banshees. If the Banshees attack the spore crawler, they're going to likely kill off a bunch of workers. This is almost certainly game. I think Ruff has likely taken this, but actually Odinisback is doing all that he can, counterattack and kill off the one hope for Ruff's economy. So Ruff really needs to do something about this and needs to lift off, because he knows he's done so much damage to Odinisback. He just needs to get his own economy going to take a firm lead, even though he already isn't quite a strong lead. He's got 15 Banshees versus only 14 Hydralisk and 1 Viper, which could potentially put off game-saving parasitic bombs, but it's not likely. These Banshees are just harassing. Ruff is kept so many of them alive at such low health, but they're so brittle, so they could easily go down to, say, 1 parasitic bomb. The Viper's actually moving across. Will it get the parasitic bomb that it wants? Yes, it will. It hits one of the Banshees. They all clump up. One of them, 2 Banshees going down, I believe, there, and another one of them might go down due to the parasitic bomb. No, it survives. So, yet, some of the low health Banshees being killed, but Odinisback really needs more than 1 parasitic bomb. Okay, so these Banshees are cleaning up creep. Ruff is floating over his main base command center, since that base has nothing left to offer him. So he's getting his economy back on track. There's only 7 workers, so really this game is over by all means, unless Odinisback somehow recovers from this. Maybe. I honestly don't see how he could recover, as Ruff is mining more due to so many more workers. Odinisback has so few workers, and Odinisback can almost certainly not kill Ruff right now. Look at all these Liberators defending. I think Ruff has taken this game. So I think I'm just gonna start to close this up here. Thanks for watching, guys. I mean, really, I'd completely rule Odinisback out of any comeback here. And I saw the game was about 20 minutes long, to be honest, so I don't think there's much of a comeback here. These Ultimates are going to die doing one last attempt at counterattack, but not much is going to lead to victory for Odinisback. And that's GG. He leaves the game. System's Ruff takes the game after 20 minutes with his odd air style. So once again, thanks for watching, guys. This has been my first StarCraft 2 cast. I did a bit before, made a few mistakes, so this is probably going to be the first one that will be going online. So if you've seen this, thanks for watching. I'm sure there might be some feedback, which is greatly appreciated, but I will try to improve in any way I can. Tips are welcome, feedback is welcome, requests for really anything are welcome, as this is the first YouTube video I've posted in a long time. Thank you for watching, guys. I will see you next time, and make sure to check out to see if I've done any other videos. Bye-bye.